Attention,
Wakeless days.
Thank you for consuming this OSI 74 product broadcast, live from the Black Knight satellite. For optimum performance and safety, your host,
The pantsless producer.
asks that you please listen to these instructions carefully. When in a hospital or other healthcare facility, observe the restrictions on the use of electronic devices. Switch off before boarding an aircraft to prevent interference with communications systems. Do not operate this device in the presence of flammable gases or fumes, chemical plants, or where blasting operations are in progress. Always listen hands-free while driving a vehicle. Failure to observe these instructions may lead to immediate termination. It's time now for the show to begin. Thank you. Have a very pleasant
Days. You're not snoozing. You're listening to the Wakeless Days podcast with the pantsless producer. And to my right and or left is my co-host.
Walking out the door.
Oh, come on. Get back here.
Paul,
Come on.
are you starting a podcast?
I already told you, like, the last episode, you know.
It's your podcast
This is
now?
I'm taking over. Mutiny. Mutiny on ship.
Wow. Yeah, more like a mutation of some sort. Wakeless days
Wakeless
of what?
Days. Just Wakeless Days. I
Just
don't know.
wakeless days?
Yeah, I don't know if there was any.
I mean, you could have written something on a piece of paper and thought it all the way through.
None of this is written. This is all Zen. This is all coming directly out of my ass.
Zen podcast, ladies and
This is
gentlemen.
the Zen podcast.
Well, we don't really plan these a whole lot under the best of circumstances.
And we get mixed reviews because of it. Some
Yeah.
say that they like the fact that we just freeball it.
I mean,
Is
when
that
we
the right term?
no, it's never the right term, especially from the pantsless producer.
that we freelance it.
Freestyle.
Oh, freestyle.
Maybe.
That's it. That
Yes.
we freestyle it, and that we're
Yeah.
not really scripted. And
Well, it's
but
weird.
then others complain
Those
that
are
we
like,
do that.
and then some people are like, oh, it's so professional.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think we're kind of right on the cusp because, I come from a radio background. I think you have some radio in your background too, don't you?
I have a radio in my car.
Oh, okay. It's close enough.
Sure.
I think we always want to put more production into things typically. We're producers. We want to produce, right? How many producers does it take to change a light bulb?
3.
No, 1. But they keep changing it and changing it and changing it. So producers like to produce. And so the idea of just completely not preparing and doing something that could potentially just go off the rails and make you look like a dumbass isn't that intriguing.
Well, we start off as a dumbass, so there's no. We
Nowhere
already
to
set
go.
the bar very low.
But then, part of the reason I never did a podcast is because, I've got the radio producer mind where I want to do radio plays and put on my radio voice and do something that is going to take a lot of time and energy away from other projects. And then when you listen to people who are podcast listeners, it's always like, we like it because it's just a couple of guys being dudes, just whatever.
A couple of men being jackasses.
Yeah, just a free talk, So I figured that this is the form of a podcast. If you're going to do a podcast, do a podcast. We can do a radio show some other time, but
We should do a radio cast.
I think that
Well, we're not even doing a
only way to
podcast.
do
We're doing
this-
a pODDcast.
a pODDcast.
So we've got our own brand.
We do have our own thing.
It's really hard on the
Excuse me.
SEO, by the way.
I think that the one thing we do. Mana.
Order up.
All right. So I think the one thing that we do.
It breaks it up. You
Yeah.
say it and then I say it, so it
I
doesn't
guess
sound like
doesn't
poop.
sound like doo-doo or the car doo-doo from Super Wheels, which means 2-2, right? The number 2 in French.
I guess.
Doo-doo.
Duh. Duh. Duh.
Duh, duh.
Duh. Duh. So what we do, duh.
What we do, duh. Zippity doo dah.
Part duh.
Part deux. I think this is what we're doing it now. We're doing it now, which is it's experimental. We don't know where it goes, and because we don't know where it's going to go, there's opportunities to try things that haven't been tried.
A lot of riffing.
I mean, going backwards, we've done a lot. We did the laundromat. We did 4 of them in the car somehow.
4 only?
Was it more?
I don't know. It feels like there were more.
It seemed like we were in the car forever.
It's funny is that one of the episodes flashes back. We're in the car and then we flash back to another moment that we were also in the car. It's like
always in the car.
It was you and me, and then we flash back to a point where it was you, me, and Aaron.
About Aaron in the car. Well, the thing about I was thinking about a car is a perfect place to do a podcast because you're in an insulated space, you're sitting up, usually it takes, especially if you live in a rural community like we do, it takes an hour to get anywhere anyway. And people listen in their cars. So it's like you're in their car with them.
Right. Although I learned one thing that...
I wouldn't mind doing more in the car, to be honest.
When we're doing stuff in the car, we got to not talk to the GPS. Because I was spot checking the episodes, and I'm listening to it in the car, and my GPS is going off because I'm yelling at it. And also the episode where I have the Google Home. Mm-hmm. Every time I say Google Home, ding, it goes off. And, again, when I'm editing and spot checking and everything else, I have my equipment going off on me.
Hilarious.
So it's kind of interesting to know how many people we've tortured.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because their thing is...
Should we start going, hey, Alexa?
Yeah.
Play Sleepless Nights.
That's
podcast.
Right. That's right. That's a good idea.
Hey, Alexa.
Well, it's already playing it. So now it's playing it twice.
How about this? Hey, Alexa, who is Mr. Lobo? Yeah.
My mom was really impressed. My mom who doesn't even have a computer in her house somehow was impressed that Alexa knew who Mr. Lobo was. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so today, Paul, you put out the call for people to ask questions. Do we have any of those?
We got a couple filling in. How about we do one before the break here?
This happened. The reason this podcast exists is because of you. We want to be more accessible. We want to be transparent, especially now with the Patreon. And thank you, Patreon supporters, for our super core in the Patreon. In the Patreon wars, because we have these people who are essentially, you're our boss now. So we want you to be a part of the process, a part of the BS sessions, the brainstorming, right? That's what BS stands for.
Brainstorming?
Right? The brainstorming sessions that we
I think you and I have a different dictionary.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We'll have to compare notes sometime.
Yeah.
So this really is your podcast. I hope you feel like it's your podcast because it's a way that we can include you in what we do. And so speaking of including you in what we do, what questions do we have?
So with
Paul?
that being said, Wendy So's put in a question.
Oh, Wendy. Don't we love Wendy?
Yes,
Wendy
we love
is
Wendy.
the sweetest gal.
I caught her a couple times. She's bragging, like, if you ever hear anybody talking about Wendy, it's me.
Yeah, she's real proud of
Wave
her,
that flag.
of her mentions on the podcast. We've mentioned Wendy and Brandon quite a bit on the podcast, and it's because Wendy and Brandon are very supportive of what we do. Not only are they Patreon supporters, but they're in there helping with costumes, making giant leeches, wearing the OSI 74 T-shirt at the con.
Very good athletic supporters.
No. I don't think any of our supporters are athletic.
Supporter? Lederhosen.
Yeah, I don't know. Ball sack.
All
right.
So anyway, she asks, all right, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Is Vaseline good replacement for butter on toast? Well, Wendy, in my opinion, I think it depends on how you like to screw your bread.
Oh, Paul.
What?
Oh,
What?
God.
All right, fine. Bagels are much better. They're easier to handle.
Maybe for you. I don't think I could get into a bagel.
So I hope Wendy is really happy with this answer.
Yeah. The court order that's going to be issued now.
Now, if you use a bagel,
stay 50 feet away from Wendy So's.
Make sure it's a plain bagel because you don't want the
everything
seeded
bagel.
Yeah, the everything bagel.
That'll hurt. Yeah.
Vaseline or not.
Vaseline will not even work. Oh my God! Really? Did we go there?
Are we doing prayer already? We're live on the air. It's not really. It's not.
I guess that's where we need to keep religion out of this.
Yeah, we should be praying to Jesus
keep
right now.
Religion and breadophilia out of the podcast from now on. That was our question.
That was our question.
This is what happens when we allow people off the street.
You give us a smart ass question. You expect a smart ass reply. Do you not?
Let's have.
Now, I wish it was smart ass and not reality, but whatever.
We have another question in the hopper.
Well, yeah,
popping out of the bread.
Fill up some
bread
time
toaster,
while I use our slow internet to get to our questions.
So I think Vaseline is probably, honestly, if you're
you have a Vaseline story.
If you're eating the bread, do I have a Vaseline story?
A Vaseline story. You told me it during dinner tonight.
I did?
I don't want to spoil too much of it. For a
give me
video
a hint.
segment that you guys did.
Oh, yeah, that's
Sacramento.
right. It's true. In Sacramento, I did a short film. There was a young man who his mother called me and said, "We don't know any film people. My son wrote a script. Would you please direct his movie?" And so he wrote it. It was a parody of Man vs. Wild. And it was called Man vs. Sac, which is Sacramento, my hometown. And all the films had to be relatable to Sacramento in this film festival. So the Bear Grylls character is eating a street-vended hot dog, and he's talking about how it's loaded with, played by Jason Patrick, Jason Patrick, downtown Jason Patrick, not the other Jason Patrick. And he coats the inside of his mouth with Vaseline before he eats the hot dog, so that to protect his mouth from pathogens and camel lice and rodent legs and all the things that are inside of an average urban hot dog. All right, so you have a question?
I do
Paul?
have. I have another one. I have no idea who.
It was a very funny scene.
I have no idea who this is. It's we'll need to do few more when I'm out there this time, from Aaron M. Lane. Who the hell is that guy?
Oh, he's a stalker.
Really?
Yeah, I'm so tired of that guy. He somehow has this delusion that he's probably editing and producing and directing
and sitting in a car talking
to us. Joking aside, Aaron is pretty damn dedicated to Cinema Insomnia, considering that since we didn't quite have the budget to have him come out so soon, and he is flying himself out here to help us make more episodes in July. We will be reimbursing him with the Patreon money as it comes in, but I mean, that is a lot of dedication to come out and work, for free on a TV show
and be the little spoon.
And be the little spoon for Paul. and Paul, I mean, really, and Paul, you come out, 2.5 hours, right, from your home to drive
2 hours,
out here, right?
Yeah.
That
answers actually some of the questions
work
about the podcast.
For free.
About people seem to think that we just meet and record this all week. Behind the curtains, that we record a bunch of my time because it's a long drive.
It's a long drive, and we don't know when we're going to see each other.
Correct.
So really, the origin of this was when Paul and I would catch up after we'd work together, and so we would have these 2-3 hour conversations. And now you're part of our post-work 2-3 hour conversations.
And I am so sorry for all of you.
We'll be right back.
From deep space, the seed is planted. Terror grows. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Certificate X. Now showing London Pavilion, classic Oxford Street.
You're not dreaming.
Sleeping.
No,
Wait,
I'm
what?
Paul.
What?
I'm
Lobo.
I'm bringing us back in.
Okay.
Right?
Ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1.
You're not dreaming.
Sleeping. You're what?
Paul.
What?
I'm bringing us back in.
I'm as in you.
Yes, not I'm as in I'm.
I got it. All right. Go ahead. In 3,
All right.
2, 1.
You're not dreaming. We're back with more of the Sleepless Knights podcast. Is it still my show or is it your show? I'm confused.
Well, I was confused to begin with. We started it with
So
my slogan.
are you saying it's your show still?
I don't know. Was it ever?
Well, Paul, I mean, to be honest.
I think my show got beaten out because Sleazy's now the top gun.
Oh, yeah?
As it should be.
The episode with Sleazy's the most listened, most downloaded.
As far as I can see. I mean, I don't openly track that.
I think that was definitely a
amount,
turning point. We got a lot of compliments after that episode aired. And maybe that is a thing that we should interview more people on the show. You know, like maybe have a special guest and interview.
Yeah, maybe we should do that tomorrow.
That's a great idea.
Good idea.
I've been invited to come down to the Colonial Theater because Channel 6 ABC is going to be doing a piece on Blobfest. And those of you who don't know, in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, at the Colonial Theater, they filmed, and the Downingtown, Colonial, Coatesville, Downingtown, Phoenixville area, all those places are neighboring.
Oaks is nearby.
All those places are nearby, but the movie The Blob was filmed in that region, and there are many locations from the film. And the Colonial Theater is famously the blob gets loose in the projection room, and then it oozes it into the where the audience is, and then the audience runs out the front doors of the theater. And just like in Rocky, when people want to run down the steps, is that a library? Where is that?
No, that's a museum.
Museum of Natural History?
History, yeah. Or Museum of Art.
Museum of Art?
Yeah.
Natural
Histories in downtown.
I'm not a huge Rocky fan. That one kid would school me really bad.
You know what? Speaking of Rocky, I just saw the trailer to Creed 2. Let me wipe the drool.
Oh, yeah? Does it look good?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a late bloomer for Rocky stuff.
I'm not a huge Rocky fan. I mean, I liked it when I was a kid, but I don't really remember it very well. But
I never saw it as a kid. Like Rocky 4. That was the one with Ivan Drago.
Ivan Drago, yeah,
that
I like
was
that
really
one.
popular when
Yeah.
I was in school.
Yeah.
But I still didn't see it, and that was when I was in like 4th grade. I didn't see Rocky.
I think I saw that on cable.
I saw it like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I just rented them all and binged them all, and I loved them. I'm like,
I think
what
I
was
saw
I missing?
all of them in the 80s.
Yeah.
Personally. But, and I may have seen the original Rocky in the 70s. But that being said, just like people want to run down the stairs at wherever he's running down the stairs in Rocky, people want to run out the doors of the Colonial Theater into the street. And it was becoming a problem.
And dodge traffic.
Yeah. It was, excuse me. It was dangerous. It was dangerous, people running out of the theater. So they decided to turn it into a yearly event where the opening ceremony is 300 people get up in the middle of the movie and run out the front door. And then we do double features. We show The Blob with other films, and we do a stage show and a spook show. And there's a street fair and classic cars and rockabilly music. And it's a great 3-day family event, July 13th through the 15th here in 2018, if you're listening in 2018. And if you're not listening in 2018, then you're in the future, and I hope that this planet is still here. So, that being said, ABC TV locally is doing a piece on Blobfest. And Mr. Lobo is going to be in character at the theater, so is Paul. And we are going to maybe do a Blobcast. Maybe we'll talk to some of the Blobfest people while we're there.
Can we interview the Blob?
If he's there. If Wes might be there. Wes Shank owns the original Blob. The Blob, it's made to look a lot bigger in the film, but the actual Blob just fits like in a paint can. And it's a piece of silicone that oozes very slowly. Basically, this is like poor man's stop motion animation. They would pour this stuff out over a model that was usually a diorama, just photographs of buildings glued to wood, maybe, or cardboard. And then they would ooze it over the diorama, and they would take a picture one at a time. Or they would possibly just shoot at a very fast film rate. right? Is that right? Is it
Overcrank
fast
the
or so? Or undercrank?
Overcrank or undercrank?
Undercrank. Undercrank. So when you play it back, you're
At
playing
normal
it.
speed, your speed is playing faster.
You're playing faster because the frames are very, very far apart, and so it seems like this thing is undulating and oozing really quickly over these items, or oozing through or oozing out of different things, with a mind of its own. A lot of times, the camera and the model were locked together, so they could tip the model and the camera a direction and make the blob go a different direction or ooze over the top of something. Anyway, that being said, Wes Schenk is a film collector, a memorabilia collector, prop collector. He has many of the original Forbidden Planet props, the Krell stuff and the ray guns and all that. He also owns a paint can that he bought from Harris. My brain is blanking out right now. The producer of The Blob, Jack Harris? Producer of The Blob.
Mr. Harris.
Mr. Harris. He bought the original paint can with the blob in it. I believe he bought it from Jack Harris. He may have bought it from Shorty Yeworth, the director of The Blob. And he brings it out to the festival. Hasn't been in a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Because he
was
wanted
at Retro the 1 year. RetroCon.
He's been at RetroCon 1 year. He's been at Monster Bash occasionally, but he wanted to stay away from he wanted to stay away from Blob Fest for this very reason, because this year's the 60th anniversary of the film The Blob, and he wanted it to be a bigger deal. Mm-hmm. And so it is a bigger deal because Wes hasn't been here with The Blob in a while. So you might see The Blob tomorrow, and maybe we can interview The Blob, or maybe Wes can talk on behalf of The Blob.
Ooh. Exclusive. Mm-hmm. Ready for another?
Do we have more?
Comment?
We have more than that. We have more than two fans.
We have more than two fans. All right, now my phone went to sleep during that.
We're waiting for Paul's phone to wake up. Always do's.
Beware of the blob.
Oh no, that's a different song. Beware of the blob. No, the blob from Ipanema.
The blob from Ipanema.
That would be a great movie.
All right, the phone went to sleep, and I lost the entire page. So here we go. Sorry. All right. Mm-hmm. Renee Whaley?
Renee, I don't know if you pronounce the H. I always would think
Haley?
Is it Renee? Renee Whaley.
Whaley.
Yeah, it might be Renee.
Or is it Renee Whaley?
Renee Whaley. Renee Whaley is yes,
Eddie.
she's Evil Eddie.
Evil Eddie. That's what's her name.
She is what's the Randy? She made a model of the. Is he a bass player? Guitar? Randy Rhoads. She made a sculpture of Randy Rhoads. Do you know who that is?
I know what Rocky Roads are.
No, Randy Rhoads, the musician. Randy Rhoads.
Sure.
I think Renee Whaley is a professional groupie. Usually in the field of music, but now in the field of misunderstood movies. Renee is I would say, a Sleepless Knights / Cinema Insomnia groupie. And she's got a question.
She's got a question.
Yes.
I had to make sure it was a question. She says, have you considered making the best of Cinema Insomnia as a new episode?
Yes is the short answer. Not that short.
Take two.
Yeah. Yes is the short answer. We have considered doing a best of. It's very difficult. It's something we've actually tried to do a few times. On our 15th year anniversary, I started writing a clip show, and we shot some segments of a wraparound that we never used because the 15th anniversary came and went, and I had the hardest time going through old footage and trying to determine what was not total garbage and what was historically important to the show to talk about or to show. And then this year we
Sounds
wrote...
like you need more Jack Daniels.
Yeah. Sounds like that was a suggestion on one of my things. I think I just wanted people to post random garbage on my wall, and someone said, Jack Daniels, that is all. So maybe Mr. Lobo just needs to drink. Then I'll be more wistful about the past.
But then you're in competition with Miss Mittens.
Yeah, then we can't have both of us drinking on set.
She has to sober up.
Ms. Mittens isn't even here today. She's just in the bathroom passed out with her Jack Daniels. So we tried to do a 15-year anniversary clip show, and that failed miserably. We did not do that. Then we thought our first show of the new season was going to be a clip show in which Mr. Lobo, somewhat like the Twin Peaks Return, where he is kind of a shell of his former self, and he needs to kind of snap out of it and remember who he is. And we were going to have maybe Miss Mittens and Romana and other characters from the show try to reintroduce Mr. Lobo to Mr. Lobo by showing him clips of old shows to try to get him to get his groove back. That was the plot of the potential original new pilot of this new season for the sixth, not really a pilot.
It's the one that wasn't supposed to be my episode.
Season premiere. No, wasn't necessarily going to be Paul's episode.
And by design, it was also to introduce new viewers who may not be familiar with the series or people that were away from the series a little, to introduce them to who Mr. Lobo is, introduce them to all the ancillary characters, and actually get a chance to play with certain characters that never really appeared in Cinema Insomnia.
Right.
Get in like Alan Smithy and so on and so forth.
Yeah, yeah. We wanted to involve Alan Smithy, Mr. Lobo's many alter egos. And so we didn't quite, it was one of those things where it got more ambitious and time got short. And originally we thought, well, we don't want to film the first one first because we want to sort of get back into the groove, and then we would shoot the first one closer to the time we premiered.
Which became
so
American
it would be
Werewolf in the Philippines was the one we recorded in its place.
the last one. Well, that was American Werewolf in the Philippines.
Was that the first one we recorded in its place, or was it the other one? I thought it was that one that we recorded first.
Maybe. I think you're right. American Werewolf in the Philippines, which is the one that's premiered the most recently.
Correct.
Dixie, do you have something to say?
Do I have to bleep that?
Where's the phone?
Do.
I don't know.
Do.
I could be in my pants upstairs.
Do.
All right. Mr. Lobo's not
the
wearing
block.
any pants also today.
I didn't notice. I didn't look under the table.
Yeah.
It was, that's funny because I'm wearing pants.
Dixie, it's the tables have turned. The pantsless producer found some pants.
I think it's because now it's asleep with the Wakeless Dawn. So
yeah.
and
I'm the sidekick
You're
now.
the sidekick.
So I've got my.
So now you've become the pantsless
right
producer.
now, actually, Mr. Lobo is in his pajamas. I'm wearing like just basic like JCPenney kind of man's pajamas with the collar and the buttons. And the weird, like I always wonder, like men's pajamas always have this weird trim on the sleeve. Like, is that to show your rank, or is it like Star Trek? Like, why do they have like a little a bit of that trim? What is that called? Like, not a seam, not a trim.
Cuff.
I guess it's just a cuff. They're just showing you where the cuff is on your pajamas.
In case you need to wear cufflinks.
Yes.
You got to go out during the night and be James Bond. Got to fight crime.
Yeah.
Got to save the world.
Like on a couch or whatever, there's always that sort of that little edging. Or I wish if Wendy Sows were here, she'd be able to. She would say just the right word.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's probably for those who want to live out their fantasies of being Hugh Hefner.
Maybe.
Didn't Hugh always wear pajamas 24/7?
He did. That's
Hugh what I want to aspire to. Just wear pajamas 24/7.
So Mr. Lobo's in his pajamas now because Dixie, we got this call that we're going to be on this news program, and then I had Dixie cut my bangs, as she would.
At least you said cut your bangs and not shave your man meat or whatever that was.
Whoa,
taco meat.
Taco meat. Now we have to explain this.
Sorry, I had to call that back.
Disgusting.
I had to call it back. Well, go back to the last episode.
We
talked about it last episode.
Okay,
yeah.
those of you who don't know,
but everybody's podcast is their first podcast.
Taco meat is some jackass that we know likes to call chest hair. All right, so I know we need to go to break, but what was I talking about before we got?
We were talking about Blob. We were talking about the. We were doing before Dixie was looking for the phone. It was what we were doing as the original episode.
Okay,
was the flashback
yes. All right.
episode.
So
we ended up doing American Werewolf in Paris.
American Werewolf in Paris, and then we filmed. Paul and I, as an experiment to get our juices flowing, we filmed a completely freestyle episode. Eric Miller came over,
but that was weeks later. That was long after Aaron had left.
It was after Aaron had left, but Paul and I recorded a completely freestyle episode, which isn't the first completely freestyle episode. But
probably won't be the last.
It probably won't be the last. But it is a rarity to do a completely freestyle episode.
It's interesting how that went together, but we want to reserve this for its own podcast.
But what was interesting is that because of the nature of it, because it was such a Mr. Lobo trying to kind of reassemble his area and kind of coming home aspect to the whole thing, it actually seemed to be a good. What's also weird is my very first episode, not the pilot, but back in 2001, my very first official episode was an Edward G. Robinson film noir film called
See?
See?
Yeah, Bugsy.
Called Scarlet Street. And then this is Red House. So it had a very oddly, this thing.
So is the Red House on the Scarlet Street?
I don't know, right? So it ended up kind of being a very like a homecoming sort of episode, and it actually ended up being kind of a neat first episode.
It fit closer to the other videos that we had shot. Other episodes we had shot.
It fit the other episodes we had shot. That's the other thing that we didn't mention is that we've tried to film that other episode, and technically we weren't able to do anything that looked nearly as good as the stuff we shot.
Well, we were also having issues where I couldn't be here.
You couldn't be here. Aaron couldn't be here, and Dixie and I, even though we mean well, we're not the most technically savvy filmmakers.
I think you guys tried to shoot that when I was doing 8 conventions in 10 weeks.
We're highly creative, but technically we're a little soft. So speaking of technically soft, I think we're going over. So we're going to go to commercial, and we will be right back. We come from the retro future. We want you to be nostalgic for what's to come. A new channel and distribution network for smart people with bad taste, featuring content from Church of the Subgenius, Creature Features, Cinema, Insomnia, Sleazy P. Martini and Guar, Troma, Corey Maccabee, horror, sci-fi, Saturday morning cartoons, midnight movies, and assorted trash we love. Add our channel OSI 74 to your Roku player or visit OSI74.com. All systems go.
The girl from Ipanema.
No. Beware of the Blob.
Oh.
You always mix those two up, Paul. Hope you had a nice break, whatever you did during the time that we weren't together. Or maybe we were just ignoring you. And if that's the case, we're sorry. You're not. Paul's not sorry.
I'm not sorry.
Okay, fine.
You deserve everything. You deserve it all.
Paul's so bitter. You got to be nice to the fans. Well,
maybe like they were getting an ice cream. They deserve an ice cream. You just took it negative.
Oh, I took it negative.
They deserve the chocolate syrup on that ice cream.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do we deserve, Paul?
We deserve more fan arts, more for arts.
More for arts. We've been getting a lot of fan art, a lot of response. I posted this thing on the Facebook where I said, I want to know how well that I don't care, that people that I don't care to know very well know me. And making fun of the kinds of posts people do on Facebook, because that's how I feel about those things, where like people like ask people to like post a GIF to describe them, or put, whatever, copy and paste some dumbass thing, and it's like, please validate my vanity. I don't care I don't care how you're doing, but please tell me everything you think about me so that I can have a better day. Anyhow, we had a lot of response to that. just weird things that people would post to like the Jack Daniels thing, and all of that came from that. Now, Paul, you have a gift.
I have a
present.
gift. Yeah. Look at this. Now, if you can everybody see this? How about
Paul? This is
if I hold it over here. Can you see it? Higher?
no
Lower? Is it in focus?
Paul, this is audio. They can never. It doesn't matter where you hold it. It doesn't matter how close it is to the microphone. They still.
Time for bed. It's
Paul's bedtime, so we're gonna have to
good
call
night,
it
folks.
quits. Good night.
You have been listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast.
Everybody focus. Close your eyes and focus. Unless you're driving, then don't.
Yeah,
do that.
don't close your eyes if you're driving.
But focus. So you can see this.
No, we're not driving.
Concentrate
Are we?
hard.
Are we supposed to be concentrating on driving?
Yeah, I don't know. Where'd you find this?
This is the kind of gear that we get for the show. This was from the thrift store, okay?
For $2.97.
And it may have even been cheaper than $2.97. It might have been one of those things where the yellow tag was half off or something like that, you know? So probably I may have paid $1.50 at the most for that. And even that is kind of breaking the budget for us.
And it's new from Zimma. Sorry. Take two. Zimma Sim Mic.
Simma. Zoom mic. Zoom mic.
Take three. Simma Zoom mic. What did I say last time?
I don't know.
Zim?
I feel like you're turning into like George Takei. When you were doing
Hashtag oh my.
Oh my. The Zoom mic. Anyhow, so it's a silver box, and it looks like it hasn't been opened, or maybe that it's maybe been used sparingly.
It looks like it's been because there's little creases.
But it's in a silver box, and it's probably from the 90s. It looks like. I mean, by the artwork on the box. But it's in a little black case in a silver box, and it's Paul's opening it up.
So you go see it with your mind.
And there's foam inside the black box.
It's funny is the piece that I pointed out on the box and said, "Oh, this would be great because we could kit bash this." It's missing.
Oh.
There's a little silver piece that turns it into a shoe mount for on your camera. And I'm like, oh, we could always use those.
So that's the part
That's
missing.
the part that's missing.
So this is basically a microphone that would go on top of a video camera. And it's really narrow. It's almost like maybe like Magic Marker sized microphone as far as like a.
It's kind of interesting because this is the mic part and this is just a windscreen.
Oh, okay, so this long tube is sort of just the windscreen,
Looks like it.
and then the actual mic itself is in a box type device.
I almost want to plug it in. Maybe we'll do this in segment 4. Plug it in and actually
And
speak
just try
into
to
it.
actually do part of the segment from this thrift store microphone that doesn't even have an attachment to go onto a camera.
It says that it takes AAAs, but I don't see where they go in.
You got to put.
There it is.
okay.
Oh, it has a AAA.
Oh, a triple.
Ooh.
Is it
Ooh,
still
my.
good? Probably not. I mean,
I don't even know how you get your fingers in there. My fingers are too fat to reach in there.
All right. So anyhow, that was just for Paul. It was a microphone that I bought probably for less than $2.97 because I feel like I would have
Like a Richard Dawson.
because
Survey says.
or Gene Rayburn, right? He had a long microphone too. You don't know who Gene Rayburn is?
Who's that?
From Match Game.
Okay.
Wow. And it would always be like, what?
Beware of the blob.
Okay.
Order up. Hash browns.
And Gene Rayburn did a show called The Match Game, and there's Match Game 70. Was it 74? Was it 74? Match
74?
Game? They did one. They numbered them for years.
I was age 0 at 74.
Okay. And and everyone on that, this was like probably post Laugh-In, but it was like a bunch of like has-been actors and comedians trying to sort of answer somewhat like almost like Newlywed Game kind of pseudo saucy usually kind of questions. And they would have a blank in them, you know what I mean? So like, you know, Johnny wanted a discount on at the grocery store, so he showed the lady at the counter his blank, you know, or whatever, and then
His Vaseline laden
bread. Yes.
Survey
his
says.
everything bagel. wow, dun, 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 wow, dun, 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 dun. And then has been actors and comedians would fill in that question. If it matched what the contestant said, then they get a match. They get a point.
They get a match?
Not an actual match. Not like starting
I'm going to
fires
burn this son of a bitch to the ground if you get enough matches.
That's right. And that would always end in a big fire. The whole studio get burned to the ground.
And then it gets renewed for next year.
That's right. That's why they had to keep renumbering them. So, and then Bob Barker also had the long microphone, very long, from The Price is Right.
Remember, folks, keep your pets spayed or neutered.
Now, wait a second. Bob Barker, who's hosting Price is Right now?
Drew Carey.
How do you feel about thin Drew Carey? Because it's weird because I feel like a jerk because I kind of hate thin Drew Carey. Does it make any difference to you?
Doesn't make any difference to me. Did you see?
I kind of feel like he's robbing us by not being fat.
Have you seen?
We're getting less of him than we used to.
Have you seen post heart attack Kevin Smith?
No, I haven't. But I didn't really like Kevin Smith a whole lot before. So,
but I'm just saying,
having the heart attack was probably the most charming thing he ever did.
And I can hear them all turning off. All right, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Pick up from there.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to show me something.
Oh, I am, but it's going to take me
post heart attacks. Kevin
It's going to take me 5 hours to type the goddamn thing in here.
Obviously, and then there's Al Roker, who was quite known for being quite heavy, and then he got freakishly thin and scary, and now he's kind of settled into, sort of.
I think this is just a roundabout way of you just calling me fat. You're just saying I'm fat, aren't you?
I'm not saying you're fat. I mean, we're both a little soft here, Paul. Both of us.
Soft, doughy.
Yeah, we got the fanboy bod, certainly.
The Dicky Doo.
Dicky Doo?
The Dicky Doo.
Or your stomach sticks out more than your Dicky Doo? Oh, God. I'm so glad you're here, Paul, for this freaking junior high bullshit that gets to pepper every single conversation.
He's funny. All right, I can't find the stuff, and I'm just burning air, so.
All right, you're burning air.
Maybe. I mean, I guess that's a close.
Okay.
He still wears the hockey jersey, so it's hard to tell. There's a better one.
Post heart attack Kevin Smith looks a lot like Lloyd Kaufman somehow. Only with a giant hockey shirt, hockey jersey. Sorry.
Hockey blazer.
Obviously, I don't like sports ball so much. I can't even find the right words. Hockey jersey. He wears a hockey jersey and a baseball cap.
And he's from Jersey.
He wears a jersey and he's from Jersey.
In Jersey.
Yeah, I get it. He's branding himself.
We've kind of killed ourselves with this one. So how about we answer a question?
How do we kill ourselves with that?
How about we answer
You think
another
we're make
question?
ourselves a lot of enemies by saying that I like post heart attack Kevin Smith better?
I just think that we've run into a wall. Drink that water.
All right,
drink it. Chug.
All right,
chug,
Paul. Then
chug. So you have to pee if you have to pee during the last half, I got this whole podcast to myself.
This is your plan. That's why you're like, would you like some water, Mr. Lobo? That's why you were so eager to give me water. I should have known when you did something nice that there'd be an ulterior motive.
All right.
An Altair 4 motive.
All right. How about something from? This is more of a statement than a question.
Suggestion.
From Lawrence Laney Lofton.
Lawrence Laney Lofton
Should be a superhero with that name.
Lawrence Laney Lofton should be a superhero, and he is a superhero. Lawrence Laney Lofton, my God, he has been a tireless supporter of Cinema Insomnia. He has supported us in words and deed and money. Sent us lottery tickets and candy bars and really wants us to keep doing. Why? I don't know why, but he wants us to keep doing what we're doing.
So Triple L says, something to talk about. Road trip, visiting fans far and near, interviewing them, load up a van with Cinema Insomnia and Mr. Lobo stuff to sell when you putt-putt, which I'm very good at, around the country visiting fans. Photo ops with Mr. Lobo, and merchandise.
That's a lot of stuff, and I think Laney just wants me to come visit him in Louisiana.
I keep saying I want to do a road trip movie.
I do want to do
Mr. Lobo does a road trip.
I could do that. I think I would love to travel. I'd love to go to every drive-in every mom and pop video store that still exists, every movie theater. Find those guys who are building robots in their garage and fans who are doing cool things and talking to them. I would absolutely love that. When we traveled across country to live here from California, we're now in Pennsylvania. For those of you who don't know that somehow, Pennsyltucky, sort of. Yeah, we're in the southern part of Pennsylvania.
Amish country.
Yeah. And when we started, we didn't take a horse and buggy. We had a car. But when we traveled across country, we had a bunch of stuff in our car, and we decided we wanted to meet with some fans. And Lainey was one of the super fans who'd send a birthday card or a Christmas card, usually with a topless woman on the card. Sometimes a pizza.
How much do you have to pay in shipping to put a topless woman on top of a card?
I think this was a photograph. He didn't send a topless woman. No.
Or half of them.
No, just the top. No. So Laney had these postcards and things that he would mail that would have these sort of saucy pictures. And again, it's Louisiana. It's a totally different culture. I think topless women is like
it's a quadruple level.
Topless women is like a a commonality.
Yeah.
That's like a parking meter.
It's like Amish here,
like the Amish, right? So again, different culture, but so we got like these these pictures, and I remember Dixie going, I don't want to meet that guy. I don't want to meet that guy who sends you the topless pictures of women, And it was really funny because we meet this guy, and he's charming as heck. He's got his wooden leg. He's like, I put my good wooden leg on for you guys, And then Dixie's like, if we were there another half an hour, I would have taken my top off. She went from not wanting to meet Laney at all to being so charmed by him to saying she totally gets why ladies want to take pictures without their tops with him. So that's our story about Laney. The other thing about Laney is his father constructed a thing called the hootenanny. The hootenanny is the rear end of a deer with bobcat teeth in it as a face, okay? And it's mounted to a trophy.
And I swear, once you see this, you wish you would never.
Yeah, it's a really strange looking critter. It's related to the swamp booger and a lot of those other kinds of things.
I believe you did
jackalope, swamp booger. I did do art. It's in the haunted house special. When they go down in the basement, it's a feature as a featured prop, the hootenanny. And it was given to us by Laney because he said, look, my dad made these things and I want them to be famous. And
he just wanted Mr. Lobo to have a piece of ass.
Oh boy, if only. No. So anyhow, we got to now we're off track. You thought the Kevin Smith thing was going to throw it off track.
No, it's the hootenanny threw it.
Hootenanny. So hootenanny we have as a prop, recurring prop. And there's a whole website, or not website, but a Facebook page, Hootenanny Hollow, which is Laney's website. And I guess what I'm trying to illustrate here is that we met Laney, and he was extremely fascinating, had a lot of stories about fandom and comic books and movies, and had a really great collection of weird stuff, including the Hootenanny, which we gave him some of our collectibles and weirdness, and he in turn gave us some of his weirdness too. So it was a nice weirdness exchange.
It almost ties back to a comment with that Renee had said that I didn't read on air about having a cinema insomnia museum and all the oddities. There's some entries there that for the cinema insomnia museum.
I don't know how we keep the doors open because I don't know if anyone would pay admission to see this crap.
But you gotta P.T. Barnum this shit.
I feel like our house is the Cinema Insomnia Museum, really. I mean, people who do come and visit the Lobo Haus Das Lobo Haas.
And you trick them with having the open house sign out front.
Yeah. People who do come to visit, like Crichton from Gula Gogo, and we've had some illustrious Craig, Dr. Madblood, Uncle Thelonious Madblood. So many horror hosts. Dick Dizell and Eric Miller and just a lot of different people in the world of B movies and just people who are fans have come through here.
We've had Sleazy here,
Sleazy and Buddha,
and we had Domino.
And it's funny to see their reaction to all the weird stuff on the walls and the rocking chair and the.
Yeah, and I prefer the next time that these guys are here not to hang me on the wall. Just let me walk around. Like, can I mingle next time? Because the freaking hooks hurt after a while.
Paul, you're always bitching.
I know.
All right. On that note, we're going to take a merciful break and we'll be right back.
It all began with a curse. A curse from the grave.
The evil you did this day will be avenged.
A curse of the dead hand. The hand that crawls, creeps, and kills.
No, please.
The dead hand that lives. And now the screaming starts. For them. And for you. And now the screaming starts. Starring Peter Cushing from Cinerama Releasing. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
You're not dreaming. You're blobbing.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah. Count blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
I'm Count blah, blah, blah. We're back. This is the merciful conclusion to this very kind of
Act 4 in the three-part play.
Meandering episode.
Fill some time. I got something for you.
Yeah? Oh, no, not again. So Paul's running off. He's saying he's got pants on, but I don't count his weird shorts as pants at all. But I guess I shouldn't talk, because I really like this. I am in my jams. So Paul is back now with a backpack. Back with a backpack.
Back with the backpack.
Back with a backpack. Yeah. So what's in your backpack, Paul? Let's see it.
I picked it. I thought this was, I was going to hide this for, I was at a comic shop and I picked up some of these flyers. And, they're for different Comic Cons.
Yeah.
And like, whatever. And I was flipping through them and stuff. And I thought, well, these would be kind of fun to show because it's what's on these flyers. So I'm going to give you the kind of, one first.
Okay.
And we can kind of look through that one first.
This is great, these visuals for this podcast.
But the awesome one that
the first one is this Comic-Con. It looks like a brochure. And it's for Comic-Con Niagara Falls, and it's a weird skyline with this literal waterfall coming over the logo between the comic and the con, and it's featuring, oh my God, Urkel is going to be a guest.
Has been a guest because it's June.
Oh, for June 1st.
This is past.
This is from the past, June 1 through 3, 2018.
It passed for us,
at the Scotiabank Convention Center in Niagara Falls, Canada. I'm moving to Canada. It just seems like they got their fandom on straight. They're doing.
I've been wanting to go to the show for years, but I've never gotten up there yet.
So they got Jaleel White, who from Family Matters. And Nick Castle from Halloween, and Wilford Brimley from
Diabetes.
The Thing. Diabetes. And
I thought he was dead.
No,
apparently he's at Niagara Falls.
He's
not dead. He's at Niagara Falls.
He's in Niagara Falls. He's possessed by the Thing, so it's not really him. It's this version.
It's
of
his
him.
thing.
Jonathan Frakes, you get to see him. I want to see him sit down in a chair. I want to see him do that stupid thing where he swings his leg over a chair.
This I found interesting. Look, he looks like hell.
Dee Snider looks like wow. That's Dee Snider.
That's Dee Snider, Twisted
Wow.
Sister.
I thought that was the old gypsy woman.
Looks
from
like
Thinner.
he's had some work done. He's got no features whatsoever.
Wow.
I think
It looks like an old lady, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like a scary old hag.
Give him some horns. He'd probably be very devilish.
I mean, it's weird because I
impish.
guess it's Twisted Sister. He always was sort of gender bending a little bit.
Yeah.
But he didn't look like an old lady. This is like a different thing. This is like Twisted Nana, right?
Mm-hmm. You know he's not going to take this.
Not anymore.
No, he's not going to take it.
Wow. So I can't believe all these people are going to be here. People from
have already been there.
Yes, have already been there.
Look at the Revenge of the Nerds.
Yes, Revenge of the Nerds. Guys from Booger. I insulted Booger one time by saying, "Mr. Booger, I'm a fan of your work." He didn't think that was funny. Charles Fleischer, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He used to do a great character on Thick of the Night. Do you remember that show?
Sounds familiar.
It's Alan Thicke talk show. And Charles Fleischer, who's Roger Rabbit, used to be like a Mr. He'd do this like Mr. Spock kind of alien thing where he would. I'm doing it now.
Yeah,
but you
make the hand signals.
Yeah, Charles Fleischer. He used to do stand up before he did cartoon voices. You got wrestling people and monster people, and
A few of these people on here have been
Ralph
have been
Macchio, and a lot of
our areas.
A lot of really great artwork too in this. The Mystery Machine, the Batmobile. That sounds like fun.
So now here's the one. This is the one. This is also for a Comic-Con, but I found this very fascinating because I have never heard of. I know that guy goes to Comic-Con, but this guy.
Oh wow, Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd.
Yes.
Oh wow, this is at
Fan
Fan
Expo
Boston,
in Boston.
August 10 through 12. This is coming up.
Yes. And look on the inside because it's not just the two
Wow,
of them.
Jeff Goldblum is going to be there, and William Shatner.
Shatner's everywhere, but
Well, he's not everywhere.
check this out right here.
Everywhere. Biff. Oh yeah, he's real.
He's
I thought
he's
really
anti
real bitter, didn't he?
about it.
Didn't he used to like hand out a little a postcard that just basically answers all the questions that anyone would ever ask?
He wouldn't autograph Back to the Future stuff, but I'm wondering if they're billing him. They're billing the four of those guys together.
Wow.
That if they're doing
Leah Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I had it bad for Leah Thompson back in the day.
But I'm imagining
Christopher Lloyd, Thomas F. Wilson, Leah Thompson, Michael J. Fox. Wow, all of those guys together at a con. They're going to be behind like a concrete barrier.
they're in a different building. They'll be standees.
Yeah, they'll lead you into a darkened room with a blindfold on.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty
to see him for 20
decent.
seconds through binoculars.
See, now I wonder if because they were billing this as Back to the Future, that Biff, whatever, I can't think of his name.
Yeah, Thomas F. Wilson.
Thomas F. Wilson. I'm wondering if he will be willing to do autographs. I mean, if they're billing it all together, or if he's just going to tell fans to go piss up a row.
Yeah, he wouldn't tell. They wouldn't have him all the way out. I mean, actually, it'd be kind of cool to have Biff bully you at a con.
Make like a tree and get out of here.
And get out of here. He said it. Oh, he was so mean to me. It was great. Anyway,
Yeah, this guy was down. This guy was in our
Paul
area.
Rubens.
Yeah.
They did this.
Order up.
We did this great. They did this great show in San Francisco that had like Devo and Talking Heads and B-52s and Pee Wee, and I forgot what it was called, but there was some really weird counterculture event happening in San Francisco. It's like I just wanted to be there so bad because it was like all these people that I would love to see. Billy D. Williams is another one where he doesn't like it when you bring the malt liquor stuff.
Oh yeah,
up
the Colt
for him.
45.
Yeah, no, doesn't have a sense of humor about that. We
Like,
signed.
I just got paid for that. That was just
maybe he let the smooth.
That was a paycheck.
Did he let the smooth taste fool him?
Maybe. Sure.
All
Welcome to
right.
the cold side of the pillow.
All right, Rob Schneider.
Mm-hmm. Cast of Princess Bride.
Rob Schneider. I mean,
Not
he
Rob
wasn't
Schneider,
really
but the
bad in The B-52s? No, I'm kidding. That's a different Schneider.
I was going to say, what?
He wasn't really
Bruce
bad.
Bigelow?
No. Well, he was really bad. Is that
You can do it!
He was in the Judge Dredd thing.
Yes.
And even though that wasn't a great movie, the biggest problem with that movie is that
Demolition Man.
Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't in it. The biggest problem with that movie is that Rocky, Sylvester Stallone, he took off his helmet, and Judge Dredd never takes off his helmet.
Yes, well, you can't hide Sylvester Stallone's face under a helmet.
I mean,
and the problem is that Judge Dredd was a better movie when it was called Demolition Man.
But just his mouth is so Sylvester Stallone that it couldn't be anyone else but Sylvester Stallone. I feel like you could just pay for Sylvester Stallone's mouth, and it would still be enough Sylvester Stallone.
What are we talking about here right now?
You got a pretty mouth there.
I am the law.
Terrible. But that, and it's weird because like when you watch that Judge Dredd movie, it's like, oh, I feel bad for you. Yeah. It's so close.
Yeah.
But
you get the mutants, you get
it's the scorched earth story.
Yeah.
I mean, they tried. It just isn't quite there.
Yeah.
And it's really like a dual role. I mean, the thing that doesn't make sense to me is like if you wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you wanted to show Sylvester Stallone, he's got a twin brother in the story. Mm-hmm. He could have played the twin brother, and you could see his entire face without the helmet. And then he could have played Judge Dredd and left the helmet on. And the fact that he had the helmet on would have made it very easy to film scenes with the two of them together. Mm. Why? It's one of those things where you felt like that might have been the actual idea, and then when they went to filming it, they chickened out, right? It's like that horrible Lost in Space movie where it's like they did the storyline where there's a grown-up Will Robinson. It's like, okay, if you can't get Billy Mooney, don't do that story.
Is it Mooney or Mummy?
I don't think it's Mummy.
Okay. I think
you want to say Billy Mummy?
Yeah.
No, the Mummy. Okay.
The Mummy. The Mummy returns.
Is something else, right? He's not wrapped up enough. Billy, I'm going to say Billy Mooney because I'm telling the story.
And I'll sing Fish Heads while you tell the story.
Are you going to sing Fish Heads?
Fish heads, roly poly fish heads, eat them up, yum.
Billy Mooney or Mummy wrote that and performed that with Barnes and Barnes. They also did Cemetery Girls and a bunch of other songs that probably would have only been played on Dr. Demento and nowhere else. But he he was in Twilight Zone famously as the kid who sent people to the cornfield with his freakish powers. If you don't,
is that the one they remade in the movie?
Yeah, that's the one they remade. The one that Joe Dante directed in the 80s Twilight Zone. And I think Billy Mumy is one of the rednecks in the bar. And when he said, "Oh, that's good. That's real good." He did his line. He did the line from it. Only different intonation. Billy Mumy, again, was the right age. He was known in the fandom community. When they wrote the Lost in Space movie, it would have been a perfect cameo for him in the Lost in Space movie.
They put every other damn character in that movie
to play the grown up. Will Robinson, and that would have been a great surprise for fans of the show to see him. Mm-hmm. To build up to that, where they see the Will Robinson of the future grown up, and it's just some dude, some weird Eric Stoltz looking dude. It's like, no. If you couldn't get Billy Mooney, dude, it's time to do a different story. You didn't get the thing that you were trying to do, so do something else. So I think that was personally, I feel that was one of the many flaws of the Lost.
And it's weird because like they cameoed all the other characters.
Mrs. Robinson didn't want to be.
He wasn't it, but Mrs. Robinson was the teacher.
He said, "I don't do fucking bits."
Oh my!
Yeah, you bubble-headed booby. Yeah, he said, "I don't do fucking bits." That was his. That's what they called him to be in the Lost in Space movie. That's what he said.
Nice,
according to William Winkler.
Nice.
I don't know. That was a terrible Dr. Smith impression. Though. I can do a better one if I can work up to it. All right. So what were we talking about? We're talking about movies, fandom. Back to the Future, actors,
Yes.
all of that stuff. Yeah,
thought
very
that was kind of
fascinating that they're bringing in
those four characters.
The four big. I mean, other than Crispin Glover, that'd be the only one you could.
The only one that I've ever
the Trump.
Oh
card.
yeah, right.
Well, we can't say Trump anymore. That would be the.
I've seen Christopher Lloyd at many shows, so it's odd to see the other
draw
guys.
4 card.
Yes,
The
wild card.
Blue Eyes White Dragon card, the trap card.
The natural 20 on the dice.
Oh, the natural 20. That would have been, if they had Crispin Glover, that would have been the natural 20.
And this, I mean, her too. I mean, that's the actress that plays the Wasp.
Evangeline Lilly.
Interesting.
Joe Carey, the kid with the great hair on Stranger Things, and I guess with these things too is a lot of them are when they sign this agreement, and it's always with these, is that it's always subject to availability.
Correct.
So if you pay to see a celebrity and they're not there,
It's because they're hidden somewhere else.
You really don't have any right to complain because usually there's a fine print somewhere saying that the celebrity is only there subject to availability. So sometimes they just basically pay them so they can put their face all over the brochures, and then they aren't there.
But yeah, I found that very interesting. I thought that would have been a fun talking point.
Yeah.
The other card here is just
got another one?
It's actually more of an apology. This guy I actually ran into at All Star, and he wanted to do an interview, so I had him do a quick demo of his book.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, there was too much background noise. I wasn't kitted up to actually do interviews.
Oh, okay.
So it came out like crap. So I can't use it. So I thought that this guy, if I find this guy again, I want to do another interview with him with the proper microphone, because I think the sales pitch would be a good commercial to have on the spot, because the books are about zombie apocalypse. And it's New Jersey zombie.
Exit Zero is one of his books. Nuke Jersey, which I think is really clever. I like that a lot. Nuke Jersey. I feel like that's as good as Nuke 'Em High. Nuke Jersey.
And I think the first book is on the front.
And the first book is Zombie Democracy. And they all have a very similar look where they have sort of a night driving sort of feel to them. They're like road signs, actually. Zombie Democracy, Exit Zero, and Welcome to Nuke Jersey. And they're all written by Neil A. Cohen, author of Exit Zero and Nuke Jersey. So, all right, well, that's good.
I think that the fans of this
is like a make good kind of thing?
This is kind of a make good, and when I finally, if I can catch up with the guy again, we'll do another interview, and I'll plug it on the show. I think that the fans might like that.
I'm gonna sound like a jerk again, but
too late.
I always
call me being pissy.
Sorry, like bitterly sorry for people who have books at comic book conventions, like authors with books at comic book conventions, because people come into a comic book convention with like this tunnel vision. They're looking for their Iron Man comic, or they're looking for, I don't know what they're looking for, but they're looking for something really specific, and usually something that's owned by Disney somehow in ways
more recently,
more recently the case. But you have people who are in there looking for Star Wars and looking for name brands and things that they're familiar with and things they're collecting. And then you have guys there who have like a 400-page book that they've probably spent years of their life writing. It probably has a lot of wonderful, interesting ideas in it, but they have to somehow get people's attention and somehow get people to look at
break them away from that other
stuff. And it's difficult because there are certain authors that I try to avoid, like the Black Death, because they're so desperate to talk to anyone that I'm like just walking extra fast by their table because I don't have the time. But in the back of my mind, I sometimes think, when I do have time, maybe I will look into that thing. But I do feel, I think selling a book, like an actual novel, is a hard thing in this world. Are you
saying it's a novel thing to do?
No, I'm not saying
not
that.
Novel. I mean, it's weird is that New York Comic Con actually has like an aisle or two that's dedicated to the big publishers and stuff.
Yeah.
I know like Timothy Zahn has been at the shows.
I hate that guy.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually upset because
No, you know what? I don't hate Timothy Zahn, but you know when they first opened up the expanded universe of Star Wars after Return of the Jedi, and he wrote those Star Wars books, and when it got to the point of, was it Fall of the Empire? Was that one of the ones he wrote?
Maybe.
I was a teenager, so I'm trying to recall something a long time ago. But when it got to the point
far away?
when it got to the point where he was saying that you carry this lizard around with you that
negated the force,
I was out. It was like I just cashed out. I can't read this garbage anymore, which is funny because I read the Marvel Comics stuff, which was so ridiculous, and 8-foot tall green bunnies walking around. For whatever reason, that works in a comic book really good for me.
But this lizard that negates your midichlorians.
Yeah. But
I see your ugly thing, and I raise it another ugly thing.
It was just like the book was just like this weird cycle of things that are just recalling stuff that you remember from the movie. You know,
well, that was the first. Those were the first books of that renaissance of when that stuff started coming back.
And then it would go to this ridiculous BS that didn't resemble the movies at all. And then they would recall this thing that they did in the movies. So it just, as a teenager, it was very frustrating, and I tapped out. And the other thing about, and let me explain something about Mr. Lobo. I'm not much of a reader. I like to read nonfiction. I like to read the dictionary. I like to read books about movies. I like to read things that are informational. I do like fantasy, and I do like sci-fi, and I do like horror, and I do like reading short stories usually. But the problem is with long form horror and science fiction books and novels is that at a certain point, since I'm a creative person, if the story isn't going where I think I want it to go, I get really frustrated because I want to be writing my own stories.
But going back to the New York Comic Con.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. In 2011, it was actually my first New York Comic Con that I went to. Terry Pratchett was there, which is one of my favorite art authors.
Okay.
He's written a long line of books that I've read.
Douglas Adams is probably my favorite author. I can read anything he
Terry
writes.
Pratchett is probably on the level of Douglas Adams.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people who may or may not know the author, he passed away recently of Alzheimer's. So that
Alzheimer's.
Yes.
There's no T in that
Alzheimer's.
word. Everyone says old timers.
Alzheimer's.
Or alt timers. It's Nazis.
But yeah, he passed a couple years ago.
Forget things.
So the end. What a note to end on.
Oh, where really? No, let's. Well, before we go to that,
he's written probably close
Terry
to
Pratchett.
Yes.
Okay, yes. And how many books has he written?
I'm going to say close to 40 books, and I probably read every single one of them.
Now this is the thing.
He was still writing when he had Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's. When he had ulcers, he kept on writing, and he actually had this thing where he would write while the disease was progressing.
Oh wow!
And he would say things like, "I could see that teacup over there in my mind. I know that's a teacup. I want to say the words teacup, but I can't. Those words will never come out of my mouth."
Yeah.
He would write things like that.
Wow, that's
and
terrible.
he wrote all the way up until the day he died, which is remarkable.
Yeah. That's a true artist, I think a lot of people don't understand that kind of thing where your craft is sort of part of you, and it's like you just spend your last breath, like with David Bowie, when that music video where he's like, right up until he has to go back into that little closet, he's just writing one more song. Can I get one more thing?
Dropping that album after he died, or
yeah,
it came out before he died, or whatever, and it had things in it that were just really eerie and like messages from beyond the grave. And,
I mean, I won't live long enough to do every stupid thing that I want to do, and I'm sure everybody else is the same way. But I think artists are a little bit different because it's like most people make money. Most people work so they can make money, and an artist makes money so they can keep working. So that's just a different philosophy. All right. Well, and we've got to get back to work,
and
we're over time.
Sorry for the down note, but
yeah, yes. Well, and you know,
it's life.
It is life, and you know, Bob Wilkins has Alzheimer's, and he was my mentor, and he passed on his ideas and wishes and humor, and taught me things and showed me things, and a little bit of him I carry into my work. And everything that guy that you, Pratchett, ever wrote, it went into the minds and hearts of all the people who read his stuff, and they're going to carry on some of his humor and his ideas forward into the future. So that is the wonderful thing about art, is that there is a little bit of immortality connected to it, because it lives on through the people who appreciate you. And that's a little more positive spin on a depressing note.
I mean, I can try to recall a quote from Terry Pratchett where he says, you know, it's going to be paraphrased more so. It was, which is worth death or taxes? And he says, well, death you only have to pay once.
I like that. Well, I may have to read more of his work. Well, like I said, I mean, there are certain authors that I absolutely love, but I have to absolutely love them. I like George Orwell. I like Douglas Adams. Certain people, I don't get tired of them, and I'm in. Usually they're satirical, and I'm on their page. A lot of times when I'm writing something, please don't go there. Oh, I don't care about that.
Fuck it. Fuck you and your damn lizard.
Stupid force-blocking lizards. Ridiculous.
God damn it.
All right. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
You have been listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast, or should we say, pODDcast.
pODDcast.
Emphasis on the odd. Our theme is by Mars Homeworld at Dead House Music. Our opening announcement is by Ophelia Necro. She does a radio show called Suicide Watch. And you could reach Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com, or find me on YouTube, YouTube/Mr. Lobo. MISTERLOBO. Mr. Lobo on Facebook, Facebook/MR.LOBO, or on Twitter, at Mr. Lobo, MISTERLOBO.
Or you can find myself, Paul Sanders, or better known as Bestow TV, at Bestow.tv, on YouTube /Bestow TV, on Twitter at Bestow Prod, PROD, and on Facebook, Bestow TV.
If you want to place an advertisement with this podcast, and gosh, why wouldn't you? We could be talking about you right now. Contact us, Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com. That's MRLOBO @CINEMAINSOMNIA.com. Or support us on Patreon. Patreon supporters get to hear this podcast before anyone else, and a lot of other great stuff, right, Paul?
Sure.
Doesn't get it better than that, right? So come join the fun at patreon.com/cinemainsomnia. That's patreon.com/cinemainsomnia. Please stay up with us next week for another Sleepless Knights podcast. Or should we say, pODDcast.
pODDcast.
The best thing about being an insomniac is never having to say goodnight.
Good night.